I've got Eric raised up here in the garage so I can get a bit of a look underneath. I can't wait till I get it into this position on a rally stage, or off it, so to speak. The reason I want to have a look underneath is I want to look at the areas where the roll cage is going to be welded down, or the plates that hold the roll cage are going to be welded to the floor, and take away any underseal and kind of tarry stuff that's going to potentially burn when I'm welding. And then I can make really good footings for the cage. Okay, so you can see a number of things that are going on down here. That's a jacking point, and that's my fuel line, and that's a brake line. So you can see that if you were to be rapidly jacking this up and down to put new tires on the car or whatever, these are in serious jeopardy of getting pinched. So they're going to be rerouted anyway. I want to put the brake lines through the interior as well as the fuel lines. So they're coming off. Take them off now, because this then is the area that the front leg is going to be mounted. It goes on top of the box section, but I'm going to transfer some of it down as far as the floor. And then the main hoop is attached here, and there is tar treatment on the floor in all this area here. You can see it goes in about that thick. So I'm going to remove that in those areas. Now, I'm not actually going to strip all that off. Some people would, but like what you'd see on a lot of rally cars is they'll actually put loads and loads of mud guards and things like that down underneath here. But as far as I'm concerned, they're all going to cause wind resistance underneath the car. They would be, counter to the airflow that you want passing. This is not a very strong car, so we want to optimize that as much as possible and have as little drag as possible. So I'll actually replace, I think, the underseal in the areas that I work on. So, and I'm going to just let the stone chips come up and go back. I mean, the stone chips themselves are drag as well, so you want to let those things get away rather than be held up by the car. So it's possible that I will do a forestry rally with this car at some stage, so we'll put plenty of floor protection back in place on this car then. So I'll get on with removing the brake lines. I mean, that's one of the advantages to doing such a deep strip down of the car. I'm not going to be kind of moving these around and trying to work around them and stuff like that and doing my preparations. I'd like to get some decent paint in behind this sill, and you can see that all needs to be treated, but it's very, very solid. Going this far will actually make it easier to do these jobs thoroughly. I'm starting by removing the rear wheel so I can get at the brake lines to the back axle. Just getting a spanner. So that's the back of the slave cylinder that's inside in the drum. I'm going to put a pipe on it as if I was bleeding the brakes, and then loosen off the bleed screw. Being careful to catch everything in the little jar. I have one of these manual pressure brake bleeders. That's just the low pressure way of bleeding brakes. Now I've put my own hose onto it here, instead of its original one, which has a connector for going onto your brake master cylinder, and it's just so that I can pump some low pressure air through this brake line, which goes to the back wheel that I just took off and released the bleeder on the slave cylinder there, and we'll see if we can pump the brake fluid out of it. Cool. That should have removed most of the brake fluid from the pipes. So I'll just lubricate the connection now and disconnect the end of the pipe. Putting a bit of paper underneath it to catch any little traces of fluid that might still be in there. That came off relatively trouble-free, and then I noticed something. That's the wrong one. Got my head in a twist going from up above to down low. So the solid line from the engine bay comes down to the trailing arm, and then there's a rubber section to allow for the up and down movement of the suspension, and then there's another solid line from that into the slave cylinder. So I had disconnected the wrong end from the rubber pipe, which was just going to the slave cylinder. So anyway, that pipe is now disconnected at both ends. It'll need to come off anyway when I take off the trailing arm. This is the reverse angle of the same pipe down from the engine bay. So I've disconnected it now, and I'm going to undo the clips that bring it along just behind the sill. Some of these clips are directly where I need to put plates, so I'll probably remove them completely and leave it tidy under here. It's funny how one of the most critical safety elements of the car, the brake line, is in such a vulnerable place really. It'll be great to reroute this through the interior. I'll have to use Aeroquip hoses for the fuel, and there'll be no joins within the cabin, and that's what keeps the interior passengers safe from these fluids. That's my special pipe from the pump disconnected, and I think I put a few cable ties on these to keep them out of the way when I was pushing the car in and out of the garage. I should be able to pull the entire brake line out now, and there was one clip left on the fuel line. That's just on the steering rack there. So take these away, and no drips, which is great. And repeat the same procedure on the other side. So with all these pipes out of the way now, I'll be able to get on with cleaning up the floor and making it ready for welding in the roll cage plates.